will
Today
talk
we
about
are
cloned
talking
animals.
the clone animals.
As you read in
As
the
you
reading
read in the
assignments,
reading
the first
assignments, the
creation of
first
a
creation
clone
of the
and
clone
adult sheep
and
in
adult sheep in
1997
1997
surprised the world.
surprised the world.
It was known that animals could be cloned from embryos, but it had been thought impossible to create new beings using cells from adult animals. First of all, who succeeded in this startling experiment?
Dr. Ian Wilmot and a team at the Roslin Institute in Edinburgh, Scotland.
That's right. Dr. Wilmot replaced the genetic material in a sheep's egg with the genetic material from an adult sheep. From that egg, a young sheep named Dolly was born. She has exactly the same genes as the adult sheep. Can anyone give us some more details on exactly what he did?
He used cells from the breast of an adult sheep. He removed the genetic material from an unfertilized egg cell of another sheep and linked that egg cell to one of the adult sheep's breast cells.
Then what happened?
The genetic material from the adult sheep moved into the egg. The egg then acted like a fertilized egg, started dividing, and grew into an embryo.
Excellent. Then Dr. Wilmot placed the embryo into a third female sheep. That sheep gave birth to a lamb named Dolly. Dolly is a clone of the adult sheep that provided its genetic material.
It seems the method used to create Dolly was quite simple. Does it mean that Dolly was easily created?
No. The scientists succeeded in this experiment only after many attempts. They placed the genetic material from 277 adult sheep into the same number of eggs. Only 29 eggs survived. These were placed in 13 female sheep, and only one sheep became pregnant.
I'm sure the method is continually being improved. I wonder what many people are expecting cloning technology to do.
Well, it could produce a lot of more valuable types of farm animals. It may, for example, be a way to make more dairy cows that produce the best milk. Or it could increase the numbers of animals now in danger of extinction. There are, however, some concerns too. What are they?
Well, it is not only that animals to be cloned, but humans might also be cloned. And some countries have no laws banning human cloning.
That's right. Many people are debating if cloning is morally acceptable, especially when it is about human cloning. Now, let's take a little bit of time and discuss some of the moral issues on cloning. Today, we will talk about cloned animals. As you read in the reading assignments, the first creation of a clone, an adult sheep, in 1997 surprised the world. It was known that animals could be cloned from embryos, but it had been thought impossible to create new beings using cells from adult animals. First of all, who succeeded in this startling experiment?
Dr. Ian Wilmot and a team at the Roslin Institute in Edinburgh, Scotland.
That's right. Dr. Wilmot replaced the genetic material in a sheep's egg.
In the late 19th century, France colonized much of what is now Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. In the tradition of the European colonists, France exploited the area for its natural resources. This area, known as French Indochina at the time, was rich in rice, rubber, tin, and tungsten. This exploitation was not, however, without resistance. Peasants rebelled, and the Vietnamese nationalists grew stronger. Their charismatic leader, Ho Chi Minh, is the subject of today's lecture. Ho Chi Minh was born in 1890. He moved to France before World War I. As the Great War ended, Ho joined the French Communist Party to use it as a base for his designs to free Vietnam from political power. He had embraced U.S. President Wilson's principle of self-determination, advocated decolonization, and vowed independence for the Vietnamese people. Ho found opportunity to push his agenda forward during World War II. As the Japanese occupied Vietnam, the French authority there began to wane. Ho organized his Vietnam compatriots, and oddly, with the support of the American Office of Strategic Services, or the OSS, began guerrilla warfare against the Japanese occupiers and their French collaborators. He impressed his OSS support with his determination to oust the Japanese, and his numerous references to the United States as a role model for his revolution. On September 2nd, 1945, Ho Chi Minh declared the Democratic Republic of Vietnam independence. The United States, however, would not recognize Vietnam's independence. The United States chose not to offend the French, whose cooperation was wanted in the emerging Cold War with the Soviet Union and China. Second, Vietnam was an economic asset. Her resources would provide food and natural materials to the world. Finally, Ho was a communist, and it was feared that he would align his country with the Soviets. I'd like to break now for a brief question and answer period, after which we will continue with Ho's war with the French in the 1950s. In the late 19th,
Wandering minds and physically couldn't sit still. These are all possible symptoms of today's topic, ADD or attention deficit disorder. Some of you may know disorder by World Health Organization classification, hyperkinetic disorder, or as ADHD or attention deficit in the
disorder.
1950s, this disorder was determined to be a kind of mental illness and was called minimal brain damage. Later, in the 1970s, it was referred to as minimal cerebral dysfunction. The symptoms, which I'll talk about next, remained constant. To be considered a person with this disorder, one must from an early age show 6 or more symptoms of either inattention or hyperactivity in at least two settings. For example, in the home and in the classroom. To the extent that normal life is disrupted. Symptoms of inattention would include ignoring details, making careless mistakes, inability to follow directions, or failing to finish things. Symptoms of hyperactivity would include constantly moving around, inability to sit still, excessive talking, or constantly interrupting others. The causes of ADD remain unknown. Researchers in the 1950s ruled out oxygen deprivation or brain hemorrhage. Today, researchers believe the cause might be connected to blood flow to the brain or an imbalance of neurotransmitters. Something that has been determined is that about 40% of ADD children have a parent with the same disorder, and about 35% have a sibling with the same disorder. As you can imagine, researchers are looking for a related gene. Now, before I move on to treatment, I'd like to open the floor to questions. I'm sure you've all noticed children who had short attention spans.
The atmosphere is a mixture of several gases. There are about 10 chemical elements which remain permanently in gaseous form in the atmosphere under all natural conditions. Of these permanent gases, oxygen makes up about 21% and nitrogen about 78%. The remaining 1% is comprised of argon, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and a few other gases. Atmospheric gases hold in suspension great quantities of dust, pollen, smoke, and other impurities. The atmosphere has no definite upper limits, but gradually becomes thin until it is imperceptible. Until recently, it was assumed that the air above the first few miles gradually grew thinner and colder at a constant rate. However, recent studies, which are being conducted by Earth satellites and missile probings, have proved this assumption to be incorrect. The atmosphere has 3 well-defined strata. The layer of air next to the Earth is known as the troposphere. The troposphere extends upward for about 10 miles and makes up about 75% of all the weight of the atmosphere. The troposphere is the warmest part of the atmosphere because it immediately surrounds the Earth's surface, which absorbs most of the solar radiation and warms the air around it. The most striking characteristic of the troposphere is the steady decrease of temperature with increasing elevation. The upper layers are colder due to their greater distance from the Earth's surface and rapid radiation of heat into space. The temperature decreases about 3.5 degrees per 1,000 foot increase in altitude. Above the troposphere is a zone called the stratosphere. It extends to a height of about 50 miles. Within the lower portions of the stratosphere is a layer of ozone gases. Ozone gases filter out most of the ultraviolet rays from the sun, and the ozone layer varies with air pressure. If it were not for the ozone layer, the full blast of the sun's ultraviolet light would burn our skin, blind our eyes, and eventually result in our destruction. Within the stratosphere, the temperature is relatively uniform. The layer above the stratosphere is called the ionosphere because it consists of ions, which are electrically charged particles. Ions are emitted by the sun. The aurora borealis originates within this highly charged portion of the atmosphere. The ionosphere is the most fascinating but the least known of the three strata. The atmosphere is a mixture of several gases. There are about 10